Hi everybody! So today I want to talk about false lashes. False lashes used to be something that I refused to wear. I thought they were stupid. I didn't feel like it was worth it for the effort that they took, because they do take effort, they do take time, there's a learning curve, they cost money, there's a lot of things that go into wearing false lashes, and I just didn't feel like dealing with it. But over the last few months, I've started wearing false lashes with every single look that I do, and I just feel like they add that final touch and they really complete an eye look for me. I post pictures of my eye on Instagram, and now I would never post a look without putting false lashes on. Natural lashes, or at least my natural lashes, don't photograph very well. I find them to be distracting in all of the wrong ways. So I just want to have this video about false lashes, just for anyone who feels like they want to start getting into wearing them. So applying false lashes on yourself is a very different process than applying them on another person. In this video, I'm just going to be sharing tips and advice for how to apply lashes on yourself, but if you're interested in learning how to apply them on another person, just let me know. I can try to put something together for that. In this video, I'm going to be discussing how to choose the right lash, glue, and application method for a variety of needs, and I will be giving tips on how to increase the lifespan of your lashes. I'm going to try my best to cover everything, but if I miss something, or if I don't explain something well enough, or if you just have any questions at all, just leave a comment down below. I promise I will see it and I will respond to it. First, I want to talk about how to choose a lash. So the first thing that I look for is the lash band. So I like to choose lashes with a clear lash band that I can see. A lot of lashes have like a thick black band on them, and I just find those to be far less flexible. They're a lot harder to apply. They're a lot less comfortable to wear. And so I just like to go for lashes with a thinner, clear lash band. I'm sure that there are good lashes out there that exist with a thick black band, but I've just never found any. Next, I look at the tips of the lashes. So I personally prefer a lash with a tapered tip rather than a blunt cut tip. I find them to be a little wispier, a little more natural. However, they can be a lot more expensive, so they're definitely more of like a splurge item. This is not a deal breaker for me, but I just prefer a tapered tip. The ones I'm actually wearing today have that blunt cut tip. These are the Allure Wispy Light lashes. These are basically the Allure version of Ardell Demi Wispies. And they're cut blunt on the ends, but I feel like they're still pretty fluttery, and I love these lashes. Finally, I look at the length, shape, and fullness of the lash. So you can get lashes that are all one length all the way across, some that are a little longer in the middle, some that flare off and they're longer on the ends. Some lashes are uniformly placed, just straight out all the way across, some crisscross, some kind of are shaped into points. Lashes come in all shapes and sizes. Each lash that you find is going to have a different combination of fullness and length and shape. So I don't really even know how to like get started on talking about this, just because we'd be here all day if I discussed the differences between all of these things. Just generally, I think it's a good idea to start with a pair of lashes that's just like one step above your natural lash. The more used you get to seeing a false lash on your face, the more comfortable you'll be with choosing a longer or a fuller style for sure. I think that the Demi Wispies are a good place to start, or these Allure ones are the same thing. Just because they start with a very natural length in the front. They flare out to quite a long length on the ends, but it's not until the very end, so this will give you a flared kind of cat eye shape. They crisscross a little bit, so they're pretty wispy. They're not too full, they're not too sparse. So I think that if you're just getting started using lashes, something like this is a really good place to start. So next I want to talk about how to prepare your eye for lashes. There's not really much that goes into this. I apply lashes as the final step, so I have everything done, including mascara, before I apply lashes. There's kind of a debate between people, like some people like to apply their mascara after, some people like to apply it before. The way that I think about it is that I chose a specific lash for a specific reason, and if I apply mascara over that, it kind of defeats the purpose of choosing a lash. I also don't like to add unnecessary product onto my false lashes, especially mascara, which is hard to remove. Just because I like to reuse my lashes as many times as I can, and if I'm applying mascara over them, it pretty much cuts the amount of times that I can reuse them in half. maybe even less. So next you need to prepare your lash. So right out of the box, the lash is gonna be pretty long, almost too long to fit a lot of people's eyes. If you have an eye that's large enough that you can put on a pair of brand new lashes without trimming them, I am so jealous of you, but I need to trim mine, usually just a little bit. So you'll know how much you need to trim off just by resting the lash on your lash line. I line up the inner corner, I rest the lash along my lashes, and then I just kind of pinch the excess, and then that's how much I cut off. Start with just a little bit. I've definitely made the mistake of cutting off too much, and then your lashes look kind of wonky and too short. So just start by cutting off a little bit less than you think you need to. You can always go back and cut more, but it's just better to start small. You definitely, like most of the time, want to cut the lash from the outer corner just because you don't want to be cutting off the inner corner with the shorter hairs. It's just going to make your inner corner look a little too long. There have been times where I've accidentally cut the inner corner instead of the outer corner and it never looks good. It never has, it never will. And then once you've cut one lash to fit, you don't really necessarily need to measure the other eye, just cut the exact same so they match and that'll be good. Depending on the lash, you might have to take off some glue. These lashes are stuck, like these little holes have like tape on them. So there's actually no glue holding the lash into the box. But a lot of times, like this is a good example of a lash that will have some glue that is holding it onto this little holder. Before putting the lash on, just use your fingers and squeeze that little bit of glue off. The glue that's on there is pretty unnecessary for actually gluing it to your eye, and it decreases the flexibility of the lash band. So I think that it's an important step just to remove that glue. So next you need to apply lash glue onto the lash band. So there are two different methods of application for lash glue that you can find, at least as far as I know. There are glues with a brush tip on them and glues that come in a squeeze tube like this Duo. Duo actually makes both kinds, but I just use a squeeze tube. So the benefits of using a brush on versus a squeeze tube lash glue is that the brush on is a lot more convenient. It's a lot less messy. Nothing to clean up like the squeeze tube. However, I just find that to be a lot less hygienic because I reuse my lashes. I need to think about the fact that anything that brush touches is gonna go right back into the tube. Anyway, any bacteria that brush picks up, any kind of makeup, anything that brush picks up is gonna go right back in the tube and potentially contaminate your entire tube of lash glue. Versus a squeeze tube, product leaves, but nothing really goes in. There is the risk with a squeeze tube of lash glue that you'll squeeze out a little bit too much product. I don't really care about that too much. I'm usually pretty careful about only squeezing out how much I need, but every now and then you squeeze out a little extra, whatever. I like to use a palette like this just because I can wipe it down, I can sanitize it, I can keep everything clean. And then once I squeeze out the lash glue, I'll use a tool that can be sanitized. I'll dip the tool in the lash glue and then I'll run that along the lash band. To the best of my knowledge, there are two different types of lash glue that you can get. There's latex-based and there's latex-free glue. You can get black or clear in both of these options. The major differences are obviously if you have a latex allergy, you just gotta go with the latex-free option. That's, you know, your only option. There's pros and cons to both different types, and before we get into it, I'm gonna just say that I prefer the latex-based Duo in a squeeze tube for personal use, and I prefer the latex-free Duo in a brush tip for professional use. Just because the brush doesn't really get contaminated, I'm not reapplying anything when I'm working on a client. The brush is only ever touching a clean, fresh pair of lashes, and I prefer latex-free for my kit just in case anybody does have a latex allergy. I just want to make sure that everybody is covered. So the benefits for a latex-free lash glue is that it's pretty much ready to apply immediately. Versus a latex glue, you kind of have to wait about a minute for it to get tacky before you stick it to your skin. Otherwise it won't stick and it'll slip around and it'll be a big mess. Latex-free glue pretty much sticks on the first try. You don't really have to fuck around with it. It does a good job of just staying put. Latex-free glue in general is just a lot stickier. It sticks almost too well, in my opinion. It's really great for my kit and for use on clients just because It lasts a little bit better through like crying, for example, through dancing, sweating, hot weather. It stays so much better. But because of that, because it sticks almost too well, it's a little harsher when you're removing it. If you get a little on a lash, you either just have to say goodbye to the lash and rip it out, or you have to really soak it with a makeup remover to be able to remove the lash comfortably. Versus like latex glue, you just take it right off. I find the latex glue to be a little more flexible. So like when I blink, I don't feel the latex glue, but I can blink and feel the latex free glue. Latex free dries down with a little bit of a shine, which can be kind of distracting. And then the latex glue just dries down completely clear, completely invisible. Love it. I mean, this is kind of in the same vein, but there will be a little bit of residue on the lash band after you remove the lashes. And latex glue is super easy to just take off the lash band versus a latex free glue. You kind of can't get it off the lashes. You can, but not really and not fully. So I feel like for that reason, the latex free glue decreases the amount of times you can reuse the lashes just because there's so much more buildup. Next, let's talk about how to apply a lash. I feel like this is gonna be the most complicated thing for most people. Choosing a lash is easy, choosing a glue is pretty easy once you weigh the pros and cons, but applying the lash is the most difficult part, obviously. So some people's eye shapes are literally just built for false lashes. Some people's eye shapes are just that. It's just round and perfect and smooth and symmetrical, but most people's aren't. So you're gonna find something in your eye shape that makes it difficult. So for me, my outer corners turn down, they slope down pretty drastically. My inner corners are kind of fucked up. My lashes naturally grow kind of straight down. There's a lot of things that make it hard for me, and you'll find a lot of things that make it hard for you. So just like with anything, it takes practice. Every day will be a little bit easier than the day before until eventually you don't even have to think about it anymore. You'll be able to find an approach that works for you. It just might take some trial and error, and it'll definitely take time. So you will not be able to apply lashes perfectly the first, second, third, or fourth time you do it. It's just gonna take time. But generally, a false lash application follows the same steps for the most part for everybody. So these are the steps. So I like to look downward into a mirror so that my eyelids are in more of like a relaxed, half-closed position, and I like to apply my lashes more on the center of the lid. So you'll find people that swear by starting in the inner corner, they swear by starting in the outer corner. There's nothing wrong with any of that. I've tried all of them. I just found that starting at the center works for me. It might not work for you. I don't know. You gotta just try everything, but I start in the center. And then I'll do the corners in no particular order. It kind of changes every day. I go back and forth between using a tool and using my fingers, but I always start with a tool and then I use my fingers if I feel like I have to. I also like to gently pinch my lashes into the false lashes. Again, this is why I like to apply mascara first, because I'm just gonna pinch them right in and they kind of disappear. This helps to hide my natural lashes into the false lashes, but it also helps to kind of get the lash band even closer, especially because I pinch kind of close to the lash band itself. So I can kind of pull it down that way. Sometimes one of the corners doesn't want to cooperate for whatever reason, you know? Things happen. So in that case, like if I have a corner that's kind of floppy and doesn't want to stick, I'll just take a little bit more glue on my tool, and I won't take the lash off, but I will just kind of stick a little bit more glue onto the lash, wait a second for it to get tacky, and then stick it on, and there's never an issue there. I will remove the whole lash and start over if there's ever any kind of like poking or tugging or pulling or any kind of pain or discomfort. I will take the lash off and start over. Nothing should ever hurt, but you will feel the lash, like you'll feel kind of that heaviness, and while the glue dries, until it's dry completely, you might feel a little bit of like, it's just kind of like a heaviness. It shouldn't hurt though, and eventually you just get used to it. Like, now that I'm thinking about my lashes, I can feel them, but if I wasn't thinking about them, I wouldn't be able to feel them, and that's how it should feel. So when it's time to remove the lash, I start on the outer corner and I grab the lash part of it. And I start on the outer corner because typically the outer corner lashes will be longer, which decreases the risk of accidentally grabbing one of my actual lashes. And just grab it and pull it off. I'm not gonna do it because I still need to wear these lashes for another video that I'm doing, but it's so easy. Don't be afraid of it. So then for storing your lashes, I just keep them in the original container they came in. So when I'm done wearing these, I'm just gonna stick them back on this little tape here and literally put them back in the box. I like to do that just because, one, I have lost pairs of lashes before because I set them down on like a table and then I forget about it and then they're gone. I just like to keep them like safe and clean because, once again, I like to reuse my lashes. So I want to keep them away from dust and like the cats and everything. So that is what I like to do. I also always remove that little bit of glue residue along the lash band because I don't like a lot of buildup, and I guess that's it. But yeah, when you take your lashes off, there will be a little bit of lash glue just dried along the lash band. Usually it will be combined with like eyeshadow and eyeliner and stuff. And as for the latex-based glue, it's super easy to just peel it right off. And then finally, I want to talk about how to know when your lashes are dead, when it's time to just throw them away and start over with a new pair. And that's kind of hard to describe, and it's different with every lash. It's just kind of, it gets to a point where you look at the lash and it's like the lashes themselves are kind of like wonky. The lashes do tend to kind of fall out, just, you know, as you're removing the glue and as you're fucking around with them, you know, wear and tear. It'll get to a point where they kind of like, they just don't look as nice. Or it's just been so long and you just know in your heart and soul that you're really pushing it and it's time to get rid of them. Kind of like with mascara. Like, this is a pair that I've been wearing for a little over a week now. I've probably used them about 7 times. And these still look all right in my opinion. There's not really any built up glue, there's not built up liner, there's no eyeshadow on them. They still look pretty good. And that is also because the lash itself is just made thicker. The lash band is still that clear, flexible band, but there's so many more hairs on them that I feel like the thicker they are, the longer they last, versus like these ones that I'm wearing now. I'll probably get 7 to 10 uses out of them, probably no more than 10. Could probably get like 15 out of these. We'll see. And I think that covers just about everything. Anyway, I feel like I've said everything. Let me know if you have any questions. I will read the comments. I will 100% respond to you. And let me know what else you want to see from me. All of my social media will be linked down below. Let's be friends. And as always, I just want to say thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.